Hello everyone, this is Milo with an update for the game. I am very excited to show this because I have just finished programming everything in this level that is trying to kill you. And this means that I can actually get to actual level building. There are a couple of decorative assets that I still have to draw out and import into Game Maker, but for the most part it's done. I can start on the most exciting thing and just making the levels that will fuck over the players as much as I can. This is so exciting. Anyways, here I'm just gonna demonstrate all the things that are trying to kill you. I'm so excited. Okay, so obviously we have the wall spikes, most basic thing to get the player to think about where they're jumping. We already have the slip blocks that you are not able to jump off, and now we have the spikes. Maybe I'll make the spikes a little bit more noticeable, add something behind the block, just but for the most part, I mean, I just have to keep contrast. If it's a bright background, it's gotta be a dark spike. If it's a dark background, it's gotta be a bright spike. But then again, I could leave it subtle and just make sure the player actually has to pay attention. Anyways, then we have the laser bridge. Obviously, it's glowing like there's no tomorrow. It's puncturing the darkness surface. If you jump through, obviously you're gonna get hurt, and you don't get hurt in the game. You die in the game. There's no lifespan or a life bar. You die and you have to start the level all over again. Well, at least level segment. Next up, we have the treadmill. Or the conveyor belt, and the conveyor belt, I made it into two different parts. There's the corner piece, and there is the centerpiece. And the centerpiece can be duplicated as many times. Like you see above the conveyor belt above is literally just two corner pieces, and I think there's like three or four centerpieces stuck together, so that I can make all sizes, and I can make conveyor belts under all sizes and all kinds of angles, and I don't have to basically draw it over again and make a new object. And it's like a constructor. Makes the job so much easier. Next up, you already know the our little friend here, the laser cannon, laser gun. It's just like the laser bridge, but this one tries to track the player and kill the player. Note that a lot of these things still have yet to have particles added to them. I have not yet gotten to the particle part. So yeah, that's gonna take place a little bit later on. Next up is the wall saw, or the ground. Well, this is a wall saw. I can place it anywhere, and it has a little bit something on it, and there is a variable called surprise. I literally called the variable surprise, and if it's true, it does something. If it's not, it's just sitting there. You just have to jump over it, or if you're on a wall, you have to find your way around it, like jump from one wall to another wall. Anyways, you'll see. Here is a pressure plate. Right now it's going at the maximum rate, and I also have a lot of these objects. They have variables in the creation code that I've specifically placed there so that if I want a parameter varied, like if I want this pressure plate to run at a slower pace, or to have a pause between the compressions, I can basically put the variable in the creation code of an instance inside of the room builder, and I will have like a custom pressure plate with a different spec. So the player has to actually look at what the pressure plate is, and I don't want to make a lot of these assets do the same thing repetitive over and over again, because the player gets used to them. So if I keep a lot of variety, just subtle timing variations, some pauses, it's gonna make the whole like gameplay experience much more dynamic. Next up, we have the ground saw. this giant saw that I can place on the ground or on the wall. It doesn't do anything. It's just I just like the design. It was one of the earlier designs of a giant ground saw with the, you know, with the three like pistons sticking out on the sides. I just like the way it looks. Nice rusty decals all over it, and obviously you can walk on the base, and the only thing that's gonna kill you is the disc. Next up, remember that this wall saw that I showed you? Well, this is what it does when the surprise variable is set to true. It is trying to kill you. This saw follows you around when you get too close to it, and it's going to try to kill you. It has two variables. It has obviously the surprise variable. So if that sets to true, it's gonna retract towards the direction of the player. And if you can see, just like with the laser cannon, it doesn't point directly at the player. I have a separate object that is invisible that follows the player around. There's literally, that object just has 2 lines of code in its step event. When one line is basically direction equals point direction x y, and then player.x player.y, and this will work with any player. As I said, this is a co-op, so there is a way for 2 players to deal with the saw to help each other out. But I'm not gonna reveal that. You guys can have fun playing it. And the best part is, this object saw and that object saw are exactly the same object. And if you notice, if I'm just gonna stay right here where the light reveals the saw the most, that object and this object look exactly the same when they're not retracted, when they're collapsed. So literally, imagine you going down a narrow passage, you have 2 saws on both sides, and you don't know which one's gonna retract, and I'm not gonna tell the players which one. They're gonna have to figure that out on their own. Cave Johnson, we're done here. So I just want to fuck around with the player. If you haven't noticed by now, I'm trying to make this game as rage-inducing as possible. Especially imagine playing with your friend, and you make it and your friend doesn't, and now you have to go backwards and save your friend's ass, you know. Or if it's inaccessible, you're just gonna have to commit suicide and start the entire level again. So as you said, this object can be placed anywhere on the wall. There is a little glitch that I noticed here. If you take a look at the saw on the left, right now it's retracted, and if I jump up here, it's gonna instantly jump back, and that's because well, it's checking the rotation from right around here. Technically, I'm not gonna have, like, this wall is gonna be way bigger. Like, if I'm gonna have a wall that a player has to climb like that, it's gonna be way fatter. It's not gonna be 2 block size. So I mean, this issue is not gonna even pop up in the actual game. Next up, we've got these little blocks here. Obviously, you can probably guess what they do. Okay, so these are spike blocks. Obviously, you stand on them, they kill you. Stand on them too long, they kill you. I noticed there's a little thing that I have to figure out, is when the actual player can stand on one and basically not trigger the thing. But I literally have to change the collision square to like 1 pixel to the left and 1 pixel to the right to compensate, because the object that allows the player to jump on the walls or run around on the floor and jump on the walls is not the same as the spike object here, because that's actually a separate object. So anyways, here we have another saw sitting on the ground. Next up, we have the saw cannon. So that tosses the saw, and as you can see, even if the player 1 gets hurt by the saw, it still continues going. So if you have 2 friends that are idiots and they're walking in a single file, and one gets killed, the other one's gonna get killed too. So, you know, or if one of them has, you know, good reflexes, one of them's gonna jump. So as I'm just trying to factor in a lot of the things that will basically piss off the player, and as you can see, it does not go anywhere beyond the collision block that the player allows to walk on. So the only thing that I have left to do for this is the explosive block, and the explosive block is literally the easiest thing. It's if you stand on it, the sprite gets wider and wider and wider, and then it explodes. But that's the explosion is particle based, so I haven't got to particles yet, so I haven't even made that block yet. But this pretty much concludes my presentation of everything that's trying to kill you in the game. You can hear the excitement in my voice, and what I'm gonna do, I can now start making the actual level, design the actual environment, and that is so exciting. I've been looking forward to this moment for such a long time. So now what I'm thinking is I really want to release this game for free, but there's a thing that basically goes around. It's a paper that's been published about when artists and developers release their hard work for free, it actually it hurts the it hurts the way the indie scene works, and it puts the wrong puts the wrong spin on the whole labor value and the value of your work. I'm gonna see if what I can do. I'm definitely gonna have a demo of the first level to show off what the game is gonna be in co-op, and this is gonna be a same computer co-op. But once the game is completed, I'm gonna try to after I have the demo prepared and ready to upload, I'm gonna try to put this project on Kickstarter and see if I can at least get some funding so I could upgrade my my workstation. Right now, Google it. The tablet that I'm using is called a G Pen 450. I don't know if the company Genius is still around, because I haven't seen them anywhere. And this tablet is really old, and it's running near the end of the line, and it's already quite hard drawing stuff with it. So I'm gonna try to see if I can upgrade just basically stuff like that, get some more programs, program licenses for sprite development, and well, just for the little portion of the funding that if I'm gonna get, maybe I'll be able to do that. But I have a lot of other games that I've written out the scripts for. From a personal opinion, like when you're writing music, you write music that you like. You know, if you're a music producer and you're writing pop music, you write the music that you like. You know, unless you're doing it for the money, but that's a whole different question. So if you write the music that you like, obviously you'll be trying to find some people who would find the same kind of music appealing as you, and that will basically be your target audience. And I have a series of games that take place in the same in the same universe, and some of those games already have voice actors recorded on them. Those are 3D horror games that evolve around one single science. It's like a science fiction horror game, or a science fiction horror theme. And a lot of those games I've been writing scripts for, and they're completed, and some of them have voice actors who have recorded for them, and I would really like to get those games started, but a lot of those games need more than myself to work on, mainly because the amount of assets that the games require according to the script is quite astronomical compared to how much work I can handle myself. Because with this game, you can see everything in here. Everything you see here was drawn from scratch. It was drawn in the sketchbook, and then it was transferred to a digital format so that I can actually use it with the game. Then I had to do programming of the gameplay, and now I have the AI for all these all these things that are basically trying to kill you. And honestly, at this point, I think this is already looking like a project of its own. I think the image is getting there quite nicely. So as I said, you guys know how to keep in touch with the updates of the game. Right now, really, if I'm gonna get a lot of exposure in terms of how many people know about this project, if enough people know about this project, not enough people can back me up, this game might as well be free. It's only gonna help me jumpstart working on my other ideas. So I hope you guys liked it. There is plenty more to come in terms of this project and updates. So stay in touch and stay frosty.